every Republican out there that has at least 4 functioning brain cells, I'll make it 4. But every Republican out there, whether you're a strategist, a lawmaker, somebody working for Donald Trump, or just your average Republican voter, any of them with multiple functioning brain cells have all been screaming the same thing at Donald Trump for several weeks now. And it's this: stop with the personal attacks against Kamala Harris because you're very bad at it and it's clearly not working. But apparently, there's always that one person that has to go against the grain, right? When the conventional wisdom and the wisdom of the collective people says one thing, there's always that one a-hole out there that's going to be like, no, I think we keep doing what keeps not working. And in this particular instance, that person happens to be the editor-in-chief of the conservative National Review, a man by the name of Rich Lowry. Conservative Rich Lowry thinks that Donald Trump should actually ignore everybody else in the country telling him to stop the personal attacks, and instead, he should go even harder on the personal attacks because they've totally been working so well for him. And for some reason, even though this guy is the editor-in-chief of an online newspaper, he published an op-ed in the New York Times because, you know, they'll just give op-eds to anybody with a pulse. And here is what Mr. Lowry said in his op-ed this week. It's basically a toss-up race, but a successful Harris rollout and convention, coupled with a stumbling Trump performance since Mr. Biden's exit, have created a sense of irresistible Harris momentum. For as long as Mr. Trump has been in the ascendancy in the GOP, he will go off on some pointless tangent and Republicans will urge him, perhaps as they hustle down a corridor of the U.S. Capitol, to talk about the economy instead of his controversy du jour. Presidential races are won and lost on character as much as the issues, and often the issues are proxies for character. Not character in the sense of a candidate's personal life. Of course, you got to throw that caveat in there because we're talking Trump, a convicted felon. But the attributes that play into the question of whether someone is suited to the presidency. Is he or she qualified, trustworthy, and strong, and does he or she care about average Americans? Presidential races in this sense are deeply personal. They usually involve disqualifying the opposing candidate rather than convincing voters that his or her platform is wrong-headed. The Obama team hammered Mitt Romney on the issues in 2012, but pretty much every policy argument went back to the core contention that he was a heartless, out-of-touch capitalist who valued the bottom line more than people. That ended up being the winning argument of the campaign. By the same token, Mr. Trump isn't going to beat Ms. Harris by scoring points in the debate over price controls or the border. Everything has to be connected to the deeper case that Ms. Harris is weak, a phony, and doesn't truly care about the country or the middle class. The scattershot Trump attacks on Harris need to be refocused on these character attributes. How in the hell are you the editor-in-chief of a conservative newspaper when you are that dumb? You do realize that if this presidential campaign suddenly turns into just a debate about people's character, okay? You've got Kamala Harris on one side, and you have a convicted felon on the other. A convicted felon who was convicted of 34 felony counts because he used money from his business to cover up the fact that he had an affair with an adult film star so that his wife, who had given birth 4 months earlier, wouldn't find out about it. And, of course, to influence the campaign. Not to mention, he's lost 2 lawsuits, defamation suits from E. Jean Carroll, where a jury actually said he's liable for her sexual assault. So you're going to stand there owning a conservative newspaper and tell me you want this campaign to be about somebody's personal attributes? That you think calling Harris weak is somehow going to make people be like, well, she's weak, I guess I'll vote for the felon? Are there any brain cells left on the right? Are there? Like, who has the Republican brain cell this week? Because if you've got it, I think Rich Lowry could use it for a few hours and maybe realize, oh, wow, that was the dumbest thing I ever said. These people are just beyond help at this point. The dumbest of the dumb leading people that are somehow even dumber, and it doesn't make any sense. None of it does. But If that's the route y'all want to go, y'all want to make this a campaign about personal attributes, be my guest, because that is an argument that the Republican Party will lose every single time. Well, folks, we have crossed that 1 million subscriber milestone, but rest assured, we are just getting started here at Ring of Fire. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and make sure to like, share, and comment on the videos.